And now, since the League of Women Voters no longer controls the debates, the presidential debates, and the two parties got together to create a private organization to run the debate, private organization run by the two parties, by the way.
Yes.
So it's not like some outside third party like the League of Women Voters. It's an inside third party they created between the two of them. So, and they
approve the moderators. They pre-approve the questions. They allow the people, how the crowd is skewered for the candidates. It is
they get to pack the place with their supporters instead of regular citizens.
And now they've socialized and controlled the media to go ahead and not ask follow-up questions because that's rude.
So, and here's why we don't have third parties, right, at the debates, because in order to be included in a debate, candidates, they decided this new presidential debate commission invented by the Democrats and Republicans, they decided that you have to have at least 15% in all the polls, in 5 national polls. You have to poll 15%. Now, where did they get that number from? It's very interesting where they got that number from. You had to look really hard. Because you had to look really hard, and they got it from really far up their asses. It was really far. 15% was 5% was at the tip, and then in the middle. Then you had to go up to almost to the elbow, and they grabbed 15%, and then they go 50. You have to have 15% to be included, right? So in 1992, Ross Perot was included. And in 1992, Ross Perot was included. He actually was included in debates. He ran. He got almost 19% of the vote. So the next time he ran, you think for sure he would be included, right? You would think for sure. Nope. Ross Perot, next time he ran in 1996, they did not even let him go in the debates. Isn't that something? A guy who got almost 20% of the vote 4 years earlier, they're like, people, we don't need to hear from you. Get that voice out of here. Isn't that something?
Well, it's amazing. You know, the historical irony is that we would not be talking about Hillary Clinton right now if it wasn't third-party candidates.
Right,
what do I mean by
Bill
that?
Clinton.
It is because of Ross Perot, who took a sizable percentage from George Bush, that Bill Clinton won the presidency in 1992. So you have third-party candidates, independent party candidates to thank for the Bill Clinton presidency, which has brought us Hillary Clinton.
Wow. How ironic is that? So then after Ross Perot...
In 2000, candidate Ralph Nader, who was on the ballot in 40 states, was threatened with arrest when he tried to enter the debate hall, even though he had a valid ticket. In 2012, Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein and her running mate, who were on the ballot in 37 states, were arrested and handcuffed to a chair for 8 hours after they tried to enter the hall during a presidential debate.
So that's the kind of justice. So when a third-party person shows up to the debate, they handcuff him to a chair for 8 hours. Yeah, because she's a threat. But it's a joke, I say, because she's a threat, but she is a threat, which is exactly why they chain her to a chair for 8 hours, because she actually is a threat. Yeah, ideas are scary. And right now, everybody who's supporting Hillary Clinton is telling me to shut up because I'm not supposed to be allowed to talk about Jill Stein. I'm not supposed to be able to vote for somebody who represents my conscience and my views and is anti-war and is pro-environment and is anti-Wall Street. I'm not allowed to vote for so we're not allowed to create that political space anymore in America because Trump. But when you think about it, every single argument people have about that, when they go Trump, take Trump's name out of it. It's like any other argument for any other Republican.
Yes.
If it was Jeb Bush, they would say Supreme Court, right? They would say Supreme Court, Jeb Bush. And I say, well, if Donald Trump becomes president and he wants to nominate a maniac, the Democrats can filibuster. If they're in the minority, they can filibuster and say, we need a compromise candidate, like Merrick Garland is a compromise candidate. Why didn't Barack Obama nominate Cornel West, right? He nominated a compromise candidate. And that's what we'll demand of Donald Trump. It's the way government works. Why wouldn't...
Well, what you're saying and what you're saying about the mission of presidential debates, it exposes the two-party duopoly our political system lives under.
Yes.
For Republicans and Democrats, it is a power-sharing agreement.
Yes.
There's not much at stake. You look into Hillary Clinton's eyes. Do you really think she is as panicked about the implications of a Trump presidency as her supporters are?
No, she
And the
is
same
not.
can be said about look at Paul Ryan and look at Ryan Rebus. Look at them and understand that this is a game. This is a game where they always win.
Well, I've said this before that, think about it. That's a great point, Mark. Do you think Hillary Rodham Clinton is as afraid as a Trump presidency as her supporters? No, because her and Debbie Wasserman Schultz both knew that she was the weaker candidate, which is why they had to put their thumb on the scale for the weaker candidate. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the controlling members of the Democratic Party, and all their donors and Hillary Clinton would rather risk losing to Trump than risk winning with a progressive who's going to upset the apple cart and get rid of the donors and get rid of the money train that's been coming through the Democratic Party since Bill Clinton started the DLC. So that they'd rather risk losing to Trump than risk winning with a revolutionary who's going to upset the power at the DNC and in the culture. They'd rather risk losing to Trump than risk winning with a progressive. Just think about that. And now they have the debates rigged to keep that third party out. Think about this. 10 years ago in Greece, the party that's ruling right now was polling at 4% in Greece 10 years ago. So if all the people who feel like me and watch this show told pollsters that they were going to vote for Jill Stein, maybe she would be polling at 5 or 10%. Because I know a lot of people who are voting for Hillary don't really want to, and they agree with Jill more. I say tell pollsters you agree with Jill. She then polls at 5 or 10%, even if you go in and hold your nose and vote for Hillary at the end. But if Hillary read a newspaper and saw that she was down 5 or 10 points, and guess what? Jill Stein was polling at 10 points, maybe she'd come after our vote, and then influence her. And maybe the Greens, they would look for their endorsement. But I'll tell you what's not going to work. What's not going to work is voting the same way we voted for the last 30, 40 years for neoliberals like Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and now Hillary Clinton. That's not going to work. That we've done that. The results are in. And so now we have to try something different, and we need to create political space on the left for different voices like Jill Stein. Right now, there's no way to vote against Goldman Sachs or the oil companies or the military-industrial complex or Big Pharma. There's no way to vote against them. Jill Stein offers you a way to vote against them, and I think we need to elevate that voice. But they want to get rid of it. That's why they chained her to a chair for 8 hours.
And by the way, she was already on 85% of the ballots in the nation in 2012. 85% of the ballots. And she's quoted that day when she did an interview with Democracy Now! She said, the Commission on Presidential Debates makes a mockery of democracy by conducting this fake and contrived debate.
And that's what it is. And so I think you create movements, and if she reaches the 5%, the Greens, now maybe we get all those Bernie voters. Half the Democratic Party switches over. Now maybe we have 3 parties in America. Let's not forget Ross Perot did get 19% of the vote. So people are been that upset since Ross Perot. People have wanted to change. By the way, working people haven't gotten a raise since 1979. So this is why third parties are screwed. I say we got to get third-party voices heard. So here is the final. This is from the press release from the League of Women Voters of 1988. She says, it is unfortunate that the news media have been left with nothing to cover but the machinations of the candidates' organizations. The American people deserve more than photo opportunities, sound bites, and 30-second TV commercials. They deserve accessible candidates and honest answers to the tough questions that will face our next president. So we haven't had that sense. Presidents, look. Anyway, so here.
Can I just say what, in response, Jill Stein also goes on to say that she says the American people actually deserve to hear choices which are not bought and paid for by multinational corporations and Wall Street.
I think it should be like a requirement that we have a third party at every there that's not bought by politicians.